Welcome back for another action-packed edition of NC Sports Weekly News. Hansen's Swedes make the comeback and bask into glory at the Stena Match Cup. Rothman seals his first victory at the season opener of the awesome ASP Big Wave World Tour in Perù. Jeremie Beyou takes the Figarò Solo as the Tour de France sets off in Dunkirk. Sebastian Destremeau reports. Garda goes center stage, hosting both the 2014 Star World Championship and the new and absolutely spectacular Foiling Week. Plus, the magic of the classics is back for the Argentario Sailing Week. NC Sports, plunge into the action.
It's a fantastic feeling to take the hat trick for sure. When we came around the top mark the last time, the guys on the other side of the bay were shouting hat trick, hat trick, hat trick. Got very emotional, and it was a fantastic feeling with the hands on the cliffs and the shouting and everything. So I really love this, and it's a great end of a great week.
After scraping through the round-robin phase, Bjorn Hansen's Swedes once again dominated the final bouts of their home event at the Stena Match Cup and sealed a historic hat-trick on the Alpari World Match Racing Tour. Aided by tactician Gustav Tempelman, the Swedes grew steadily first, doing away with Team Alpari effects and skipper Keith Swinton 3-2 in the quarters, and then by pushing back US 1 with Taylor Canfield in the semis with a 3-1. It all came down to the final match with Ian Williams as his G.A.C. pinned our Team Axis the last match by defeating Francesco Bruni and the strong Luna Rossa crew in the semis. The Britons did come out strong, claiming the first of the 5 regattas in the final, but the Swedes made it count, taking the next 3 thanks to better tactics, both on the wind and on the adversary, including a key forced penalty at the pre-start of race 3. Next stop for the Match Race Tour is Sopot, Poland, at the end of July. Be there with NC Sports. Hang on to your seat, surf fans. The ASP Big Wave World Tour kicked off the season with its first event in Pico Alto, Peru, as top-ranked pros delivered strong performances on the awesome 10-meter Pacific Ocean swells. Bigger and tougher boards, special body protection and flotation gear, plus a special net of jet ski safety ops have now brought professional big wave surfing to a whole new level. Reportedly, in Pico Alto, the face or front of the waves reached up as high as 15 terrifying meters. That would equal a 5-story building. This is no place for finesse, and surviving the wipeout is already good enough to cash in some big points from the judges. Hosting a string of 8s and 9s, Makwa Rothman dominated the 6-athlete final, adding his casual laid-back style to sheer survival conditions. Did impress, and earned him a top score of 27.33.
World Tour.
Yeah, it's awesome. I just want to say I love you to my daughter who was born 2 days ago. I wore her hospital wristband the whole time, now I can take it off. Love you guys at home, Mom, Dad, Ruka, Monster, Oakley, everybody. It must have been the sunscreen I used this morning. I think so, the shade sunscreen. That's what made it the difference.
The USA's Sean Dollar held his own and even took the lead with just 20 minutes left of this ASP Billabong Pico Alto. Rothman, however, was unstoppable, and Dollar ultimately closed with a 20-26 in third place as another American, Anthony Tashnik, whisked second away by posting 22 net points. The waiting tactics didn't pay off for defending ASP WWT champion Granta Twiggy Baker. With 10 minutes to go in the final, the South African did take on the biggest wave of the day, but the bomb soon closed in and wiped out all hopes for a podium spot.
Solitaire de Figarò and Tour de France.
You're watching the Sailing Updates Desktop News. Welcome to the office.
From Cherbourg, Jeremie Beyou wins the Solitaire de Figarò with panache. It was very hard during the whole race, but it was great. It's not bad to conclude like this. Following 3 stages full of emotions, only 4 skippers are still in the running to win the Solitaire when the fleet leaves Les Sables. Anything can happen during this final stage, starting in a solid 25 knots westerly breeze. The wind drops dramatically on the first night and the fleet is slowing down to the benefits of those favoring the direct route. Sailing under spinnaker and heavy rain, the Ocean's passage is impressive before crossing the channel. Wet and tedious, the conditions are very tiring until the fleet approaches the coast of Guernsey Island. I think I was in a better form. I went back to the left side and it was then too late for them to follow. By taking a closer route to the shore, Jeremie Beyou takes the lead and keeps it until the Bay of Cherbourg. The skipper manages a leg victory and secures the overall title for the 3rd time. From Dunkirk, the docks are buzzing with activities hours before the start of the Tour de France. Last year's champion Groupama 34 is back with a very similar crew. However, skipper Frank Camas will only be on board for the Mediterranean legs, as he's also competing in the NACRA 17 European Championship. Groupama 34 will compete against another race favourite and a veteran of the circuit, Courrier Dunkirk 3. The team, skipped by Daniel Souben, is very motivated to better their 2nd place from last year. Oman Sail is also one team to keep an eye on. The Omani M34 crew, led by Sidney Gavinier, is growing stronger, and their goal is clearly to climb on the podium. On the Corinthian ranking, the young crew of Toulon-Provence Méditerranée is looking at taking the 1st place of Normandie Asserel, the 2013 winner.
Lake Garda in northern Italy is now in its seasonal peak as Europe's prime natural sailing stadium continues to host a number of key high-end events. Among the main highlights, the Star Class World Championship closed proceedings over the weekend as the former Queen class of the Olympic Games still draws some of the top-ranked sailors in the world. Elegant, fast, and modern still today, this 1930s design rewrote the book of competitive sailing for nearly a century, and the class produced some of the greatest talents of all times. Pros Mark Reynolds, Lars Grael, Bruno Prada, and George Sabo, among other greats, battled it out on a 6th-race event on the beautiful Garda backdrop as the 90-strong fleet dotted the canvas in speckles of white. These 2014 World Championships offered an engaging and very close head-to-head between Germans and Italians, with Robert Stanjek and Fridtjof Kleen on Germany 8-3-4-0, just barely holding back Diego Negri and Sergio Lambertenghi on Italy 8-4-9-1, with a scant 2-point margin. Equaling the Italian points but still behind Norway's 8-3-1-7, with Elvin Melleby and Bruno Prada completed the podium. As anticipated in the last NC Sports edition, Lake Garda also hosted an absolutely revolutionary and spectacular event. Marking a new era for sailing, this very first appointment of the Foiling Week brought together a number of different pioneers in the new art of flying. Already widely seen at last year's America's Cup, but a technology that has already been in the works for well over a decade on a number of different classes and vessels. Lake Garda provided a show to be remembered, blending regattas, speed trials, and plenty of tech discussions. Also featured the Open Nationals and Internationals for the Amazing Moths, a spectacular original design of the late 1930s, now upgraded for flight. Over the last decade, it has established itself as the very first true foiling class, and top Italian pro and AC-32 veteran on Plus 39, Stefano Rizzi, proved he's ready for the new era. Among the many foiling tribes attending, Australian pro and catamaran champion Andrew McPherson just couldn't miss the Foiling Week to showcase the new G.A.C. 32.
To get all the new style foiling boats together at the same location, we can share some ideas and show off the work we've been doing over the last few years. It's been a really good response from a lot of let's say, potential boat owners. And we like to build a fleet here in Italy. I think any excuse to come back to Italy is a good excuse.
Flying on Garda is still happening as this edition comes to a close. The complete report on the next NC Sports Weekly News. Celebrating a decade of sailing passion and tradition, over 50 historic yachts gathered for their yearly appointment at the Panerai Argentario Sailing Week in Porto Santo Stefano. This is the world's prime circuit in its genre, the Panerai Classic Yachts Challenge, dedicated to the glorious classes of yesterday, here in Italy for 3 spectacular weekend regattas that truly reset the clock back to the last century. Mariquita, built in 1911, dominated in the big boats category, winning all 3 races. The 1916 gaff cutter Chinook took home the vintage category, while the Marconi cutter Bufeo Blanco 1963 snatched the classic division. Special attention this year went to the Wiano senior class, now celebrating its 100 years in both continents. The beloved gaff sloop that found glory as the Kennedy family's favorite day sailor is now back in production for the connoisseurs, and came to Argentario with 4 boats in the Spirit of Tradition category. The genius of American designer Allen Stephens was very much alive at this Panerai Argentario Sailing Week, bringing back that very feel of early yachting in the 1930s. With crown jewels the likes of Shamrock 5, Argyll, Comet, Manitou, Skylark, or Stormy Weather. Similarly, the Italian Navy, tied to its century-old partnership with Panerai watchmakers, also came to Argentario with a full armada of vintage yachts from the 1960s and 70s, including Capriccia, Stella Polare, Corsaro, and Chaplin. The water sports season never stops, so stay tuned for this Saturday's premiere of Top Story, with complete results, highlights, and dockside interviews from a mega RSX meet at the European Championship in Çeşme, Turkey. Plunge into the action with NC Sports.